As another holiday season arrives, the war in Ukraine grinds on, casting a long shadow over families and communities. The conflict, now stretching into yet another year, continues to reshape lives and the region's future, leaving many to wonder when, or if, peace will return. For countless Ukrainians, the holidays are a bittersweet reminder of what has been lost and what remains at stake. Years of relentless conflict have left cities scarred and millions displaced, with peace seeming more distant than ever. Streets once filled with laughter now echo with uncertainty, as families are forced to leave behind their homes and memories. The toll on daily life is immeasurable, and the hope for a return to normalcy feels fragile. Yet, in the midst of this hardship, recent signals from Moscow hint at a possible breakthrough. An idea that was once unthinkable is now being seriously considered: a territory swap. This proposal, controversial and fraught with risk, has suddenly become a focal point in ongoing discussions. This dramatic shift follows months of secret, high-stakes negotiations involving Ukraine, Russia, and the United States under President Trump. Behind closed doors, diplomats have worked tirelessly, seeking common ground where there seemed to be none. Talks have moved from vague concepts and generalities to concrete, detailed discussions about borders, sovereignty, and the future of entire communities. The fate of thousands now hangs in the balance as negotiators debate the fine print. The stakes are enormous. Any deal would demand painful compromises and test the resolve of both nations. For ordinary people, the prospect of change brings both hope and fear, as the cost of peace may be measured in lost territory or uncertain futures. The question remains: can this fragile diplomatic opening truly end the bloodshed and reshape the future of Eastern Europe? The world watches anxiously, aware that history could be made, or hopes dashed, at any moment. Let's examine what's being offered, what's at stake, and whether this new chapter in diplomacy can finally bring the peace that so many have longed for, and that the region so desperately needs. The latest twist emerged from a late-night Moscow meeting, where President Putin hinted at a new approach. According to Kommersant, Putin suggested Russia might consider a partial territory swap if it retains full control over the Donbass. This marks a significant shift from Moscow's previous all-or-nothing stance. By floating this idea to business elites, Putin may be preparing Russia's power brokers for compromise, acknowledging the economic toll of endless war. The details remain vague, likely by design, giving Moscow leverage and testing reactions from Ukraine and the West. Whether this is a genuine offer or a strategic ploy, the mere mention of a land swap by Putin has forced all sides to reconsider their options. The territory swap idea is rooted in high-level US-Russia talks. At an August summit in Alaska, President Trump and Putin reportedly laid the groundwork for a possible deal. Trump's team, led by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, has since shuttled between Moscow, Kyiv, and European capitals, pushing for a pragmatic resolution. Their approach: transactional diplomacy, seeking mutual interests and creative solutions. The Alaska summit introduced the territory swap as a way for both leaders to claim victory at home. Recent US-Ukraine meetings in Miami have accelerated the process, shifting negotiations from Europe to a direct US-Russia axis. This has unsettled some allies, but injected new urgency into the peace process. Trump's determination to end the war has fundamentally changed the diplomatic landscape. To truly grasp the challenge of a territory swap between Ukraine and Russia, we must first understand the current, ever-shifting map of control. The landscape of this conflict is complex, with front lines that have moved repeatedly over the years, and each region carries its own strategic and symbolic weight. Russia now controls vast swaths of Ukrainian territory, most notably Crimea, annexed in 2014 and considered absolutely non-negotiable by Moscow. Alongside Crimea, Russia holds most of the Donbass, a region rich in industry and resources, and the main focus of its territorial demands. The Donbass, with its sprawling industrial cities and battered infrastructure, remains fiercely contested. Despite ongoing Ukrainian resistance, Russia currently controls about 90% of this region and continues to push for the remainder, making it a central battleground in both military and diplomatic terms. Beyond these core areas, Russia occupies significant portions of Zaporizhzhia and Kherson in southern Ukraine. These regions are not only rich in agricultural land and natural resources, but also hold immense strategic value due to their proximity to the Black Sea and key infrastructure like the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. However, Russian control here is far from absolute. Ukrainian counterattacks, ongoing partisan resistance, and the resilience of local populations have made these areas unstable and difficult to govern, turning them into potential bargaining chips in any future negotiations. Smaller pockets of Russian occupation exist in regions like Kharkiv, Sumy, Mykolaiv, and Dnipropetrovsk. While these areas are less central to Moscow's long-term ambitions, their occupation still disrupts daily life and adds to the complexity of any potential settlement. These peripheral territories, especially the contested parts of Zaporizhzhia and Kherson, are likely to become focal points in any discussion of partial exchanges or ceasefire lines, as both sides weigh what they can concede or reclaim. The fate of these regions will be at the very heart of any deal, with negotiators scrutinizing every kilometer and every community affected by the shifting front lines. The central question remains: which lands, if any, is Russia truly willing to relinquish, and under what conditions? The answer will shape the future of the region, and just as crucial, what price, political, territorial, and human, would Ukraine be asked to pay in return for peace or a new status quo? The territory swap is the most explosive element of the talks. In essence, Russia would return some occupied land outside Donbass in exchange for Ukraine ceding other territories, most crucially, recognizing Russian control over Donbass and Crimea. For Ukraine, the incentive is an end to war and the chance to rebuild, but the cost is immense, ceding land and accepting a painful new reality. Supporters call it pragmatic, a way to save lives and salvage the state. Critics see it as betrayal and a dangerous precedent. For Russia, it's a chance to formalize gains and claim victory, but also means giving up other captured areas. The swap could end a costly stalemate, but would leave deep scars on both nations. The stakes, territorial, emotional, and political, could not be higher. At the center of negotiations is the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, Europe's largest and a global concern. The emerging proposal joint Russian-US management, demilitarizing the plant and ensuring safe operation through an international consortium. This would transform a flashpoint into a zone of cooperation, addressing safety fears and providing electricity to Ukraine. Adding complexity, Putin has floated a U.S. plan for large-scale cryptocurrency mining near the plant, leveraging its power for profit. This business angle, a hallmark of Trump's approach, could create shared interests but also raises ethical concerns. Critics warn against tying critical infrastructure to private profit, but supporters argue it could help cement peace. The plant's fate is a test of whether economic incentives can help secure a fragile peace. The world is watching closely. Ultimately, the decision rests with Ukraine. The eyes of the world are on Kyiv, as the nation faces one of the most consequential choices in its modern history. Every move is watched closely, not just by Ukrainians, but by allies and adversaries alike. President Zelensky has confirmed intense negotiations with the U.S., with a detailed peace plan nearing completion. These talks are the result of months of diplomatic effort, involving countless hours of discussion and compromise, as both sides search for a path to end the conflict. Yet, he draws a firm line. There is no agreement on ceding the remaining Donbass territories. Zelensky's stance is clear. Ukraine's territorial integrity is not up for negotiation, no matter the pressure. For Kyiv, Surrendering these cities would mean abandoning citizens and soldiers, and is politically impossible. The memories of those who have fought and suffered in these regions weigh heavily on every decision. Zelensky must balance showing good faith to Western partners with reassuring Ukrainians he won't compromise on sovereignty. He walks a tightrope seeking support abroad while maintaining trust at home. The idea of trading land for peace is deeply divisive, both emotionally and politically. For many, it is not just a question of territory, but of national identity and dignity. By highlighting the deadlock over Donbass, Zelensky signals strength to his people and resolve to the world. He wants to show that Ukraine will not be coerced into a settlement that undermines its future. His challenge: pursue peace without fracturing national unity or losing vital support. Every decision carries risks, and the consequences will shape Ukraine's future for generations. Ukraine's stance will determine whether talks move forward or stall. The world waits to see if compromise is possible, or if the conflict will continue. The stakes for Kyiv could not be higher. The decisions made now will echo far beyond the capital, affecting millions of lives and the fate of the nation itself. Russia's demands remain clear and uncompromising. First, Ukraine must withdraw from all of Donbass, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson, ceding not just occupied areas, but also those still under Ukrainian control. Second, Ukraine must renounce its NATO ambitions and adopt permanent neutrality, likely enshrined in its constitution. These are Moscow's non-negotiable conditions. The territory swap is merely a mechanism to achieve them. For Ukraine, accepting these terms would mean surrendering both land and its strategic future. The gulf between these positions is vast, and any deal will hinge on whether either side can move. As the year ends, the path to peace is clearer but fraught with peril. The territory swap has opened a narrow window for a political settlement, but the gap between Russia's demands and Ukraine's red lines remains wide. Trump's direct engagement has energized talks, but also unsettled allies, and added new complexities, like the nuclear plant and business interests. The risk: a fragile deal that satisfies great powers but leaves Ukraine vulnerable. The hope exhaustion on both sides may finally outweigh the desire for outright victory. Any settlement will be a bitter compromise, not a triumph. The world waits, hoping leaders choose the difficult path of peace over endless war. The next year will reveal whether this fragile opening can end one of Europe's most devastating conflicts.